Hi, I'm Lisa Greenfield with Truth in Hand, and it's time for your daily tarot. This is the week of July 11th through the 17th, and we have an out-of-bounds Mercury along with a new moon that is going to take us into some unexplored realms. I'll tell you more about that as soon as I invite those of you who haven't already been my guest. Please do visit me, truthinhand.com. That's where my favorite tools, tarot, astrology, and the always fascinating map of you there in your hands are all on display for you to dive into. More about you. All right, back to this week and that high-flying Mercury. The card of the week is perfect, the Kingfisher, King of Arrows, which is our air, the mind, which is the 10,000-foot view, and takes us up and out into that area that is unexplored. Until now, we haven't had a chance to see it the way that we're going to be able to see it this week. And it's very much about the places where emotion is when we swim, we get lost in that sea, and we can't always tell what beginning, what ending, what middle. It's hard to map where we begin, somebody else ends. And the mind is what helps separate us, understand it, tells a story. But this week addresses where our minds and our hearts have been at odds, at opposite ends. And it's now about finding a way to weave the emotion through the story in a way that makes sense and that is consciously chosen, rather than at the mercy of anything or anyone. This is your life, this is your story, these are your feelings. Are you ready to get much more comfortable with all of it? This week will help. On Monday, we start right off with the world, and the moon is in a trine with Pluto, so it's almost like a closed system there. It's like you're going to transform whether you like it or not, but the world says you really will like it if you give it a chance. The sun is a little less comfortable with the Pluto changes today, but this is because it takes time. The world opens up a layer at a time. There's no need to rush. The mind can see that 10,000-foot view and wants to act on it a little more quickly. The world says a day at a time, a moment at a time, a revelation at a time. Let it all integrate. Let it all grow, okay? Embrace the whole, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let it all reveal itself and know that all of it contributes to a much better, living life product. Your life with all of the leaves and all of the branches and everything that lives in the trees. Okay, so it's like that's what we're after here. That's what the goal is for the week. And on Tuesday, you get to celebrate that with the Three of Vessels. 3 is always about communication, and Mercury is an intense aspect with Jupiter today. Although this says joy, this card is joy. So this 3 is very much about the joy in imperfect communication. Some of it doesn't need words. Some of it doesn't necessarily convey in just words or actions alone. Let the feelings permeate whatever's going on today. Let your feelings accompany what you do. Be open to what somebody else is feeling. It's going to help when it comes to miscommunications or misunderstandings. The moon is in an easy aspect with Mars, which means that it's going to be, there's a chance you could act more instinctively, but let that instinctive reaction show you where old fears are driving the story more so than the new reality. And then just work through it. Make a different choice, right? And that is joy, when you know that you have choices rather than just repeating the past, which didn't feel good. And then on Wednesday, we move into the Six of Arrows, one of my favorite cards, because it says you've really sailed out of the storm and into a calmer water with the rainbow above it. Sixes are that Virgo, energy that you're whole and complete unto yourself. So you have everything that you need. This is our new moon. So this new moon with Mercury in an easy aspect with the Great Awakener and Vesta going retrograde back into Sagittarius, it really asks you, what is sacred to you? And where are you responsible for aligning your words, your actions, your feelings about what matters to you, and sowing those seeds, taking those risks, responsibly communicating that story, first to yourself and then to the world. That's a really nice way to integrate the mind, the body, the heart, and the spirit this week with this new moon and sow the seeds for this next month. Now on Thursday, we've got a little bit of a challenge. We've got the Four of Vessels. Fours are always about putting things on a firm foundation. But the caution with it is, because vessels are emotion, is be sure that you don't have four walls, no door. And defensiveness can be a problem today, which is interesting because the moon moves into Cancer and promptly, conjuncts Mercury. And it's like, okay, so, Cancer can be that protective shell a little bit of the, what's going to hurt me. And moon is opposite Saturn. So this is about remembering that it's like, you're not helpless, you're not hopeless. You have all the authority you need to say yes to what feels good and no to what doesn't. And work with whatever is served up so that you can create something that feels better to you. You may not like what's served up, but do something with it. You've got the power. That boredom comes when you boxed yourself in and there's no risk, but there's also no reward. If you want to enjoy life, take the smart risks. Learn where to invest yourself with what matters to you. Tell a different story. And on Friday, that's going to be even more important because we've got the Eight of Arrows, which is another closed loop. What you put out there comes back to you. The mind here, it says, are you locked in a pattern of struggle? The moon is opposite Pluto, and so it really is trying to dynamite the places where you're in that closed loop that believes if I do this, then this is going to happen. No, not necessarily. The past is not going to repeat because you're different. You're no longer the same. So make different choices. Tell different stories. Put that energy out there. The aspects will help you. You're only as stuck as you think you are. And you get some push on that on Saturday because you've got the Ace of Arrows. Hello. This is like the sword that just cuts through those sticky attachments to the stories that no longer serve you. So it's like if those stories present themselves, you're going to have a chance to cut free. And as the moon moves into Leo today and conjoins Uranus, you really can be free of the old stories. Cut the ties. It doesn't serve, and it's kept you tethered way too long. You've also got the moon conjunct the North Node, so it's like this is your destiny, to want what you want, to fulfill the desires of your heart, just in different ways than you thought you were going to, because there's some challenging aspects to Mars, which always requires an adjustment. So it's like, okay, tell a different story, interpret things a different way. Cut yourself free of the old limits and the old struggle. There's joy. You had seeds of it this week. Find your way back there. And then finally on Sunday, we've got the King of Stones. Hello. And we've also got a very nice day today because it's aspect free except for the moon and easy aspect to the sun. So this says you're on solid ground. You can rest, you can relax. Very often you'll find that when this happens, you've got an easy day like this,